Much for being so patient. My name is Dr. Bob McBride, superintendent here at Lockport Township High School District 205. We're really excited. It's really about the students this evening. But I always like to just, before I ask our board president to officially open the meeting, because what we're doing here is we are literally writing into the history of this district the accomplishments of these students. You might say, well, why is that an important thing to do? Well, let me tell you. I think it's so important to do so that when excellence occurs, we actually notice it. I'm a parent, just like so many of you. It's very easy for me to be around, my children are adults now, and the shoe is on the other foot, where they're seeing lots of flaws in me as adults. And I can see lots of flaws in them, but sometimes it's more difficult to really celebrate when they have been excellent. And tonight are all about samples of excellence. We've had a lot of that around here lately. Friday night, I was in New York City. Second year in a row, we had a vocal ensemble, different one, represent our community as one of only 9 vocal ensembles in the nation. 2 years in a row, we started with 262 vocal ensembles, and we made it to the final 9. Now, if that's not excellence, I don't know what excellence is. We have Illinois State Scholars here tonight. We have people who have accomplished incredible national feats in media. We have probably, at least in my time, I've been doing high school a long time, but we have an athlete here tonight that might be the most consistent, might be the athlete of my career, might be the best athlete that I've ever had a chance to be around, ever. Because I haven't seen a young person so consistently accomplish what this athlete has accomplished. We've got people who have had state excellence in technical fields. So we've got everything. We've got scholars, we've got people involved in the media, we've got athletes, we've got people involved in technical competencies, really everything tonight. It's just so worth it to do something very simple and just say to our children, we are so proud of you. We're so proud we're going to write in the history of this district, so that resolution is always going to be there. So that's what we're doing here tonight. And we have to formally, our board president has to formally open the meeting, and our board members are here. I always ask you, can you give it up for them? These are your volunteer elected officials making these things happen. This is my job. This is their community volunteer. So let's open the meeting. Let's acknowledge these students. You'll see that we'll try to get some media of them as well. Jeanette Castillo is right here. It didn't happen if there wasn't a photograph. Can we do it? Can we do this? Can we acknowledge your kids? Is that all right? All right, let's do it. Dr. Shaw, open this meeting.
Good evening, everyone. Do I have a motion to reconvene the regular meeting?
I'll make that motion. A second.
Who's second? Ms. O'Halloran? Roll call.
Yes. Hayes? Yes. O'Halloran? Yes. Harrison? Yes. Strife? Yes. Shaw?
Yes. Regular session reconvened at 7:05. Can I have everyone stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then I believe I'm turning it over to Dr. Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. I am now going to read the resolution for girls wrestling. This resolution is recognizing the accomplishments of Lockport Township High School girls wrestling team. Heidi Castillo Sanchez, Julia Hernandez, Camila Mendoza, Bella Romando, Elena Trinovich, Sophia Kellner, Riley Morrow, Chloe Skell, Alex Hardesty, Jaylene Mack, Rebecca Ramirez, Veronica Skibicki, Claudia Heaney, Catherine Martinez, Isabella Rojas, and Mira Vencio Ramos. Can you please come forward now? whereas the Lockport Township High School girls wrestling team competed in the IHSA state competition on February 27 and 28, 2026 in Bloomington, Illinois, and earned second place in state. And whereas Lockport Township High School junior student Rebecca Ramirez individually placed third, and senior student Claudia Haney individually earned first place, which makes her a 3-time state champion and a 4-time champion finalist. And whereas coaches Amir Camus, Sam Fuentes, Tom Munoz, and Irem Hernandez have aided and guided the girls wrestling team in their success as Lockport Township High School District 205 athletes, and whereas the Lockport Township High School girls wrestling team has brought honor and distinction to themselves, their family, school, and community by achieving this respected status. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Lockport Township High School District 205, Will County, Illinois, that the girls wrestling team is hereby recognized for their outstanding achievements and dedication to the school and community, and that this resolution was passed by the Board of Education, Lockport Township High School District 205 on the 27th day of April 2026. Congratulations, girls.
I was going in a row.
I have another resolution for Claudia Heaney. All right, Claudia, you ready? All right, so this resolution is recognizing the accomplishments of Lockport Township High School wrestler Claudia Heaney. Whereas the Lockport Township High School senior student Claudia Heaney competed in the IHSA state competition on February 27 and 28, 2026 in Bloomington, Illinois, and earned first place in the state competition. And whereas Claudia Heaney was selected as the 2026 Girls Outstanding Wrestler by the Illinois Wrestling Coaches and Officials Association. And whereas coaches Amir Camus, Sam Fuentes, Tom Munoz, and Irem Hernandez have aided and guided Claudia Heaney in her success as Lockport Township High School District 205 athletes. And whereas Claudia Heaney has brought honor and distinction to herself, her family, school, and community by achieving this respected status. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Lockport Township High School, District 205, Will County, Illinois, that Claudia Heaney is hereby recognized for her outstanding achievements and dedication to the school and community. And that this resolution was passed by the Board of Education, Lockport Township High School, District 205, on this 27th day of April 2026. Congratulations, Claudia. The success continues. All right, so the next resolution is recognizing the accomplishments of Lockport Township High School students of the Illinois Design Educators Association, IDEA. Please come down. Thank you for making your way down. Second place state, IDA Assembly Modeling, Braden Height. Second place, State IDA Architectural Design Team, Aaron Lukaszewski, Gavin Nusko, Brianna Smith. Second place, State IDA Intro Board Drawing, Sophia Lautine. Second place, State IDA Introductory 2D CAD, Eli Kehoe. Third place, State IDA Engineering Design Team, Abigail Noel, Juliana Reyes, and Lillian Slowick. Third place, State IDA 2D Machine CAD, Adam Avazonis. Third place, State IDA Architectural Modeling, Alyssa Trower. Whereas Lockport Township High School students competed in the state competition on April 11th, 2026 at Illinois State University, and whereas sponsors Dan Moston and Roger Ebert have aided and guided the team in their success as Lockport Township High School District 205 students and competitors, and whereas the students have brought honor and distinction to themselves, their families, school, and community by achieving this respected status. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Lockport Township High School District 205, Will County, Illinois, that this resolution was adopted on this 27th day of April, 2026. Congratulations, students.
Can you get us off? Sure. Do whatever you want.
I'm now going to pass it over to Mr. Leslie for the next award.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Good evening, everyone. Resolution recognizing the accomplishments of Abigail Giordano. Please come on down. Whereas Lockport Township High School junior student Abigail Giordano competed in the National PSA Video Contest through the Academy of Scholastic Broadcasting, competing against over 250 high school students from all over the country, earning first place in the competition. And whereas teacher Kevin Conway, Chandler Gaylord, Megan Connolly, and Molly Cook have aided and guided Abigail Giordano in her success. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of Lockport Township High School, District 205, Will County, Illinois, that Abigail Giordano is hereby recognized for her outstanding achievements and dedication to her school and community, and that this resolution was passed by the Board of Education, Lockport Township High School, District 205, on this 27th day of April, 2026. Congratulations. At this time, I'd like to reintroduce Dr. Johnson for our last resolution.
All right. So this resolution is recognizing the accomplishments of the Illinois State Scholars from the class of 2026. We are so pleased to introduce and recognize the LTHS students who have been named an Illinois State Scholar. This year, 125 LTHS students have been designated a 2026 Illinois State Scholar by the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. Whereas the following students have excelled in the state of Illinois academic competition, have been named Illinois State Scholars by the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, and thereby have brought honor and distinction to themselves, their families, school, and communities. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Lockport Township High School, District 205, Will County, Illinois, that the following students from the class of 2026 are hereby recognized for their outstanding achievement in the Illinois State Scholars Competition. Anais Avazonas. Andrew Bailey. Annabella Barrett. Thomas Bogoslawski. Luciana Bongiovanni. Reagan Boucher. Dominic Curiel. Abigail Carroll. Julianne Caraway. Jocelyn Casey. Charles Connor. Cameron Dumanel. Grace Elicostas. Bridget Farrager. Kylie Feifel. Carly Fiorillo. Jack Frampton. Sebastian Grieglatt. Claudia Eny. Allison Lucy. Sophia Utera. Gabriela Kadzierski. Doa Kim. Kara Kenny. Anja Klauser. Jack Kalsonic. Haley Kurzak. Andre Labuda. Dominic Longo. Julia Meyer. Taylor Raz. Caitlin Nelson. Kyra O'Callahan. Adam Kalika. Shane Peake. Claire Plessy. Ryan Holchel. Thank you. Nicholas Perbora. Alexander Ray. Juliana Reyes. Cole Rickerson. Mercedes Ruiz. Emmanuel Sanchez. Victoria Scarpa. Connor Schreib. Flirter Schweipai. Molly Sechek. Evelyn Schlarship. Lillian Lowitt. Jessica Smith. Tristan Smith. Lucas Streeter. Joseph Zdarsky. Andrea Tejeda. Elizabeth Torvet. Addison Way. And James Wyatt. That this resolution was passed by the Board of Education of Lockport County High School District 205, County, Illinois, this 27th day of April, 2026. Congratulations, students.
Okay, while the students are going back there for their photo opportunity, I just want to say thank you all for coming this evening. Without you raising such wonderful human beings, these people would not be able to do what they do on a day-to-day basis, which is work with your kids. So all of the parents, to you, I give you a round of applause, so thank you for being wonderful students. I also have a compliment. I know prom was this past weekend. These ladies have some fabulous nails right now, so if you haven't looked at them, they're great. So, do I have a motion to accept the resolutions as presented? Okay. Motion by Ms. Lopez Caneva. Second by okay, roll call.
Yes. Lopez Caniva? Yes. Strike? Yes. O'Halloran? Yes. Hay? Yes. Dahl?
Yes. Okay, so the board is going to continue our regular session back in the courtroom. We'll have about a 5-minute break. If you'd like to join us, you're more than welcome. If not, please feel free to use the backdrops for a wonderful photo op.
Yeah, all right. Good job.
Second.
All right, motion by Ms. Garrettson, seconded by Ms. Straight. Roll call.
O'Halloran?
Yes. Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Johnson?
yes,
Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes. All right, open at 7:28 PM. The purpose of the proposed bond sale is to fund the life safety items at Central Campus that have been approved by the State Board of Education: roof replacement, shoring, and tuck pointing the exterior walls of the building, window replacement, and replacement of electric. The use is a combination of accumulated fund balances and financing through 3 or 4 bond issuances over the next 3 years. This financing plan, including all 4 bond issuances, is estimated to cost the owner of the home valued at $356,185, approximately $56 on their 2027 tax bill, and add an additional $56 on each of their 2028 and 2029 tax bills for a total of $168. If the proposed 2026 bonds are completely isolated from the full financing plan, the impact on the same homeowner for this bond issue alone would be $42 in 2027 and flat thereafter. There are no comments? Okay, are there any further comments from board members?
I guess I have a comment. So this, we want to do 16 million, and this includes the overage from the 2026 roof repair, and then additional electrical and whatnot that we're looking for 2027.
Yeah, I'm not sure. When you said the overage, Tammy, talk to me a little bit about what you're thinking of there. What, if I could just, I think I know where you are. Let me see if I give it a crack at it.
Because we just got a bond.
Right, you did $15 million in bonds last year.
Right.
You roughly spent about 7.58 million of that, so you have 7.5 left. You're taking an additional 16 out to finish those projects at Central. So this is in addition to that amount that you still have that you financed to finish all of that work this summer. That would be roughly roof, all the exterior envelope work, the final electrical, windows, all of that.
Yeah, I guess I just wonder about, fund balances when and I know I've had this conversation at Finance and Facilities, that when we discuss that we're going to be using fund balances, what percentage are we really using? How does the public, what does the public see us using, and what are we using it on? I know come June, we had $11 million that was in a fund, invested, and come June, that money is going to be available. That could be used. It's obviously part of our fund balance, but it was locked up earning interest, and it's going to come out in like June, maybe 1st of July. But so we have fund balances, and I know that we have some ideas on the horizon what we're going to use since this project has kind of crept, that maybe that would be a
Yeah,
better
I
use.
think what we had, technically, I think even, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we were trying to use some of our fund balances that were not geared toward the life safety, problems. So I'm thinking like the Lockport Academy, the CCC, if I'm not mistaken, we were possibly going to use those for all cash fund balances and not go into any of the working cash bonds.
Yeah, you do have a plan. A little later in Mrs. Croy's report, you'll see how you're drawing down your fund balances. You're actively doing that. You've got about, in the past, I would say 3 years, you've drawn your fund balances down by about $10 million. You actively have a plan moving forward of drawing that down a further $19 million. I think the question strategically for you as board members, and we talked at Finance and Facilities, so it'd be good to hear from those members, is strategically, right now, do you finance or do you use your cash reserves? I'd make a very strong recommendation, given the current economic conditions that you're in right now and your future borrowing
can't say it, borrowing power that now is the time to finance. Financing is also you've kind of impaneled us with the lowest taxpayer impact. Kind of when things go up and down in terms of if you finance heavily later again, it tends to really rise the obligation that taxpayers have to make. And then also, given some of the unforeseen circumstances that you have on the horizon, if you need those cash reserves or you need that for credit rating purposes, I would encourage you to stay liquid now because you can still finance competitively, but that's not going to be around. It doesn't look, at least what financial forecasters are saying, for too long. So it's really a strategic decision of you've kind of approved a plan that uses different funding strategies. Funding strategies using fund balances, operational revenue, and then financing. We would recommend that you finance because you're putting it right into a building and the timing of it. I would not recommend right now doing an excess. You've got $10 million that you've drawn your fund balances down. You're planning a $19 million drawdown.
Eventually.
Yeah, over time. And I think it's really important to remember that your strategy is to use these tools over a 10-year period. I would recommend that you stay as liquid as possible right now in these economic conditions, but that's really up to you, whether or not to do that.
I would concur with what Dr. McBride has said, only because I tend to be a little more conservative on the cash side. I am more comfortable having more cash on hand in terms of just because when times of uncertainty and economic turbulence, those organizations that have cash available and monitor their cash tend to weather those particular bumpy periods better than others. Again, in terms of financing, doing it what we're doing now versus say next year, the year before, or the year after, it most likely will cost more, not cost less when we have to go out for bond issuance and other financing mechanisms. Additionally, I think just to alleviate any concerns that we're not using fund balances, we are going to be using fund balances. We'll be using fund balances on other projects that are already slated as we go along. We've used fund balances in the past. I think it's just a good use of the tools that we have as a district at hand, and it doesn't lock us into being in a cash poor position or in a position where we'll have to borrow if that ever would happen, where we have very little control over the terms that we would have. So I hear you wanting to use fund balances. I don't disagree, and I think we've got a pretty good plan in place to show that we plan on doing that. I think it's just like that plan that we've agreed on for over a 10-year time. We can move projects in and out as things come along. I think utilizing the different tools that we have are also kind of in that same vein where we, depending upon the economics and the circumstances, one tool might be better utilized at one time versus something else. So it would be my recommendation that we move forward with the bond sale, but knowing that we still need to keep an eye on our fund balances and using those.
And I think this is a place where sort of how you work your own household finances really comes into play. It's a good way for you to see as say strategically for a business plan. Gosh, I think it's a good question that Tammy raised of, what mechanism do we want to use right now? So to ask yourself, how do you usually, do you use managed debt? Do you go into your savings? Do you do a combination? And just to recount your use of fund balances so far, all of the cost of construction in 2024, that calendar year at Central, all of that were fund balances, so no taxpayer impact. Then the past 3 years, paying off your debt at about, roughly about $2 million, a little under $2 million abating those payments, I think 1.8, 3 years in a row. So that's where the 10 million comes into play. So all of that is given tax relief to taxpayers because the cost of demolition and ceiling rebuild in 2024, taken care of by your fund balances. I think that's an astute use, an emergency. So you didn't want to foist a brand new emergency cost onto taxpayers. That's why you have that cash reserve. And then paying off your debt, you were in a really good position. Say, wow, we have a low debt level. We can actually use fund balances to make the payments for the taxpayers rather than asking the assessor, the Will County assessor, to do a debt service levy. So that's about the $10 million. That timing, I think, and also it was stretched over time, over a 3-year period. So you're using it, maintaining some cash, but you're not using it all up front. So you have to assess the risk and the reward of using cash up front. What does that put you total with your finances? Like I said, you'll have we'll try to access it in the board docs when we could access board docs, and just maybe for the members of the public, anybody trying to go online to see the agenda. The company that hosts Diligent, that hosts board docs, is having a nationwide outage. So nobody in the country can access board docs this evening. But you'll see the flight of your fund balances. And I just think you have to think carefully right now at current economic conditions, but also what's on the horizon for you. You're currently in a good faith labor negotiation with your educational support professionals. You'll be in a negotiation next year with your licensed professionals. You have increases in health costs that in many ways are beyond us. And we're really starting to feel the increase in material, and these are all the different things that we just use every day to run a school. Those are all on the horizon right now. Usually when inflation goes up, it doesn't just, like for example, if a conflict in the Middle East ends, it doesn't suddenly just come back down. Inflation sticks around for a long time, unfortunately, is the economic factor. So just assessing, well, what's on the horizon right now that could use cash? So.
I would say I'm just making a comment that, in 2025, before some of us were on the board, you made a bond sale, and then we're going to do it now at 2026. We're also going to be asking us to no longer abate tax, that payment on bonds. So it's like we're paying stuff off, but now we're taking on 2 new bonds. There's, the whole 10-year plan, as I said many times, we're going to be taking each step by step, not this is the plan, this is what we're doing. It's step by step by step. So, this first step has been, this, for lack of a better term, creep of the project at Central has caused us where we need more money. So, like you said, we have 7 and we're going to go out for 16, and it costs us money also to go out. So there's, that factor too. There's a lot of factors to it. So I think that, I don't know, I think that maybe it should be thought about. Anybody else have anything else?
Well, as I oftentimes say to the board, we just need some direction.
Right.
And also this, I think Dr. Shaw is going to talk about committees. Timing is very important. And you could take more time as a board to consider your bond issue, but then economic conditions might change on you and your conditions might be less favorable. But then also you do have to make payment in August, the costs at Central. And then, I think the importance of coming back to the plan is you are going to be in a money spending mode. That's just what when you lay a plan out to address your facilities, that's really what's going to happen there. And I think, where I'm having a little bit of a difficulty, Tammy, and we talked about this in the finance and facility, we have a roadmap. If almost 20% of that 10-year plan is fund balances, but that's not acceptable to you, you want more, then I think as a board, we need some direction, because if we continue to bring this issue up, that we should be spending more than 20% in a plan of fund balances, I just believe it makes it difficult for me as an administrator to navigate, any future administrator to navigate, because we just don't really know, are we sticking with this plan, or are we, there's a different parameter. If you tell us you want to spend 30%, 40%, the group back here will all adjust to that, right? But I do think that at certain times the board does have to say this is the strategy that we're going to use. So you know, this month you're not voting on these bonds. You would actually vote on these bonds. This hearing is the first step in that, so that the public can make a comment on it. But I just sometimes have to point out that there's mixed messages here. Low tax burden, we've addressed that. Financing really keeps a low tax burden while keeping the district cash solvent and high credit rating. We've addressed those things. We've got a project this summer, so if we're going to even right now revise the whole plan, that revision really should start happening now. It's a business plan.
Well, I think, Tammy, what I'm hearing is that you want to make sure that we're using fund balances for throughout the 10-year project. So I think for all of us, we're not used to having construction projects. I mean, for us, there might be a couple of you on the board that are kind of used to dealing with construction and that type of thing. But I think we meaning the board and the finance and facilities advisory group, have been very, very pragmatic and very, very thoughtful and taking into consideration, a lot of data and a lot of information. Primary, I think, is foremost on everyone's mind is the tax impact on the community. But knowing that, I think we just kind of have to get used to not saying that we're green lighting everything, but we've laid out a very pragmatic plan. We know that these things have to be done over a 10-year time to hope to mitigate the impact to the community. We've been very thoughtful, and again, when I say we, I mean the board, the advisory committee, the finance and facilities committee, have been very thoughtful about how to finance those projects, because those don't get done without spending something. And so I think, Tammy, I don't think it's out of anyone's mind that we need to use fund balances. I think it's clear that that's part of the plan. Did we want to go and take out more bonds at this particular moment in time? Maybe not necessarily, but that's just how we are at this component. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we won't be using fund balances for any other projects that are coming along. And we're doing that in, again, I say we, from the finance and facilities and the facilities advisory council, very thoughtfully. The taxpayers and the community members are never far from the forefront of the mind of those decisions. And I think as long as we continue to make sure that we're using all the tools that we've got, it's going to take not just one spending mechanism, it's going to take all of them to get the projects done.
Well,
and there might be times that are better than others to kick one of those into gear when maybe that wasn't what was thought of at the time. But and again, go back to the example of the plan that's 10 years. Each project is laid out over a 10-year plan, and we've had many discussions about going back and forth, being able to move those projects in and out as circumstances might present themselves, to where one project might be better done at one point versus another. And I think we have to allow the flexibility for
ability to finance those projects too, to utilize the fund balances, the bonds issuances, and other funding mechanisms. And so I want you to understand that your concern about that we're not using fund balances is heard, but I hope you understand, based upon, because you've been on those same committees that I've been on, and through all that time, you know the work that every group has done and the discussions that they've had, that it's been very thoughtful, and sometimes you have to make adjustments along the way. And so I want to make sure that you feel that your concerns about fund balances are being heard. I think in my mind they are being heard. And so I would just ask for the grace and flexibility to be able to make those levers and pull them at different times as they're needed, to be at the end of the day the most economic sense for the school district and the community that that's going to be impacted. Going out for financing now will be cheaper than going out in a year or two, and then that allows our cash to continue to grow, and then also be used for other things that are already slated, and then also that might come up that we're not aware of today. So I hope you can feel that that your concerns are being heard, but also I hope you can understand and feel that we've, throughout the almost 2-year discussion, that's the taxpayers and being fiscally responsible is of top of mind for all of these projects.
Well, when you look at 19.635 million is going to come from fund balances. It's 17% of the 118 million. And when you do it over 10 years, it's only 1.9 per year.
Sure.
That's really coming out of our fund balances. We can ask ourselves, how much does go into fund balance every year? It goes up every year.
Sure.
Our fund balances go up every year because we're collecting money twice a year. And we have, so much cash on hand. And when I was looking at the amended budget and whatnot, with that in there, we end up with 93 million in our funds, and it's listed as 11 months, which 78 million ideally is a whole year.
Yep.
So there's some number information that maybe is not completely clear. This central project it's a bugger because there are some problems, and when we surveyed the community, they said, use your fund balances. So, there's also cause for, doing a little bit now and maybe using something else later on, but just because we can do a life and safety bond, I don't know if that's the greatest of, I can hear what you're saying. It doesn't mean that I have to agree with you.
No, of course not.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things. I feel like as a whole, we've just got done paying off debt, and we're right away, two bonds. I think that we could end up into a place where, how many bonds do we really want to have out per year? And then I said this during the 10-year plan.
Sure.
So we're looking at the next 10 years, it's nearly every other year or every year we're going out for another bond.
Mm-hmm.
There's eventually that $43 per household isn't going to be $43. The assessments are going to change. We have new property on the tax rolls. So there's a lot of nuances to this, but we can open it up so that the public can talk about it and go from there, I guess.
And that's what we're doing right now.
Yep.
That's what this hearing is.
Yep.
So.
Exactly.
I just have to say, I appreciate hearing from both of you on your perspectives, especially both of you being on the Finance and Facilities Committee. Not being a part of that, we don't get to hear all the details included in the conversations, which lead to a lot of information that can help us make these decisions. And I hear what you're saying, Candace, when you're talking about, and you, Bob, when you're talking about the need for making sure that you're using your money in a way where it's not going to be more expensive later. I also see where Tammy's coming from, where we have this 10-year plan and it's one bond here and all of a sudden another bond there. And it does seem quick. And it seems like we, want to pump the brakes a little bit to say, well, how is this all going to look? And how are we going to make sure that we're not taking so much debt on that it's more than the community members can handle in their taxes, especially when you're talking about not being able to do the debt service abatement. So I appreciate all that conversation. It's a lot of food for thought. And I think that it's something that as a board, we probably need to talk about a little bit more on, get some more perspectives.
Okay. Are there any other?
I will say this, we need a mechanism then for that conversation. Because we do, I would tell you to be able to do this financing, we would have to go by May 18th. It'd be very difficult to do a bond sale to get into the summer. And one of the things I just would advise the board is to look down the line. Ann was doing that. We have non-life safety projects on, the 2027, 2028 that speak to using fund balances, science classrooms, CCC, Lockport Academy. So looking ahead, if you look at the plan, there are plans you can kind of see in the plan what's the source. It's a future source. So the help that I'm going to need as your superintendent is, one, some clear direction. And then two, I just need an understanding as you look at the plan. For example, right now, if it's your feeling that you don't want to do a $16 million bond issue, or you don't want to stack debt as we propose, because your voters have said they don't want to engage in a referendum, because that's a huge tax increase all at once. They've said that to you, repeatedly in our district. We just, in order to engage and fulfill our obligations to contractors, we need to have that money ready and available, whether you ask us to use $10 million out of fund balances, or you ask us to do $16 million. We need some kind of, if there's more conversation, Michaeline, we would just have to schedule that because it's,
I agree.
It's getting tight.
Sure.
Excuse me. So that's where this discussion is really, really valuable, because you do have those tools.
Right.
I think you will see, however, and I think it's very important to see the 5-year plan, because the 5-year financial forecast does not show your fund balance is growing. They might grow at a moment, like when you get a $16 million increase because you did a bond sale, they will certainly spike. But you'll see they won't stay there. We're not forecasting that your fund balances will be there in 5 years. We're forecasting all the things that we see drawing and draining down those funds. So I think, paying close attention to that for all of us is going to be something we want to do with that forecast. This might not be the time to decide, right? But we do need some help by May 18th if we're going to keep on the timeline to do the bond issuance, right? If you ask us whatever combination, we can meet that combination.
So then that means that we're going to have a separate meeting, I would think, then, in order to have that discussion before the 18th?
Either a separate meeting or kind of those mini meetings that we've been having in the workshops. So, but what I'm hearing, and then I guess what's been a common thread through some of the meetings, which I think that we really need to address, and we can probably get into this in the president's report, is are we going to trust our committee structure, or are we going to have to make every decision as a whole, as a board? And if that's the case, we might need to talk about meetings and how many we're having a month. So just some food for thought when we're coming to these places, because we're here to make a decision tonight. And Tammy, I'm hearing you say that you've expressed these things before, and I'm hearing you say that you've expressed these things before. But we need to give them the direction that they need so that we can make deadlines and do things that we need to do, because these are decision-making meetings. They're not kick the can down the road meetings. So I just want to be very clear with that. Okay.
And just a final thing, just to get your thinking. You know, Stephanie, like PMA Financial cannot arrange a bond sale just tomorrow. You know,
Yeah.
kind of the timing of this and what we shared with the Finance and Facility Committee 2 weeks ago is they need about a month to prepare a bond sale, and then to execute it and see if the market conditions are right. Then there needs to be a period of time where banks will bid on it. So all of that, takes quite a bit of time. So our timing is sort of adjusted to fit that cycle. So that's also really important just to keep in mind.
So I guess we're either going to have another meeting or mini committee meetings. And then I guess we would need to make sure that we've got questions on our minds when we go to those committee meetings. And I would like to suggest, again, everyone's schedules, it's a very busy time of year. We would have to get them done within the next week and a half, because this is the end of April. Is that what you're?
And I just, from my seat, I just want to ask all the board members what your end goal is. For you, Ms. Hayes, Tammy, is there a magic number that makes you happy or taxpayers happy? Or are you picking to use cash now merely as a political gesture? I really think that's important to ask, because what I'm thinking about is all of the cash obligations you have down the road, especially in the next year. Science classrooms, CCC, Lockport Academy, negotiations that were under healthcare. We're not just spending fund balances on construction. So I just think that's where it appears to me, if I could be so bold to say this, is we don't have an endpoint. We don't have a target. We created a target, like the 17% in the 10-year plan, because we thought that was a target that aligned to the 5-year financial forecast to keep the district in good financial standing. So we did all of that analysis and presented that to you. So if there's a different target that you collectively have, we would need to know that. But the goal doesn't seem clear. It doesn't seem clear to me of what, is this a political conversation that we're having? Is it a financial strategy conversation? Is it a market conditions conversation? Is it achieving your objectives in terms of facilities that you really need to address? I'm trying to understand what your goal is, and I'm just offering that to you because it's hard for me to lead my team when I don't know what your goal is.
I guess, I can answer that with, it's clarity for me, because I know that we have had conversations where we have said that $78 million is 12 months cash on hand. Before me joining the board said, let's go with 6 and 9 months. And yet we continuously seem to be keeping 12 months cash on hand in our fund balances. If the board voted to bring that down some, then we should be reflecting that. The administration, the budgets should be reflecting that. And not just,
I think you'll see that in the 5-year financial forecast, which was part of the materials for this evening. A really good illustration of that. I also just want to say, once again, I need to understand your goal as your superintendent. And the reason why I say that is it's a timing issue. There are plans to use your cash. You can use your cash now, but those projects that are waiting on the horizon for you are not health and life safety projects. They cannot be financed through health and life safety bonds. So the plan is to use more cash for those horizon events, right? And also we can't suddenly pivot to those horizon events this summer because we have a half-done project at Central. So
I also want to just remind folks that the cash on hand projects that we have on the timeline, those, and Brian Ammer has said this to us multiple times, the least expensive time to do a project is today. And so when we get to those projects, which could be I'm looking at the spreadsheet. There's plenty of them. We have no idea what those projects will cost out at when they come time, but I can feel pretty confident that they'll be more expensive than they are on this sheet today. And I think you can feel that we will be using fund balances at that time as they are slated to do so. I think I would like to ask the president to take a vote and see where people are. And
Well, right now,
see-
we're just doing the public hearing.
Not for vote. Okay.
Right, and I would also caution you doing that,
Yeah.
Candace, because you don't have a vote on your agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It's just discussion.
calling a vote or, a motion that you really haven't declared on the agenda would not be something I would advise from the Open Meetings Act point of view.
Sure.
Well, is it not helpful then to see where people are at?
Yeah, however, I wouldn't call a formal like roll call vote on a motion, yeah.
Scratch those words, but just see how we can get a sense of where people are in the room.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, what information do you need? I think that that's direction for Dr. McBride, in order to make these decisions confidently, because we're going to need to come up with a decision next month when it comes to this. So what more information do you need to feel confident in the decisions
Right.
that are being made on a committee, where we are entrusting our administrators to make recommendations to us?
I mean, I would, looking at the 5-year financial forecast with, the ability to ask questions and move forward and hear it out loud and, obviously, like I said, I do have those docs where some docs I actually did do the PDF for, but without
Right.
without being able to see the board docs, it's kind of like, well, I can't really submit too many questions because I don't feel like I have the full picture. So.
Okay.
The 5-year financial forecast will help.
Okay. Anything in addition, Michaeline, that you're feeling like you need?
I would just say that same thing. I was at the point where I was emailing Bob some questions today and trying to look up some more docs and had the same, hurdle that I came to. And I think hearing this conversation was very helpful, but needing that 5-year forecast and just looking at that excess money, what's that going to cover? What would the 60 million bond cover? And what would we do with extra? And how would that be used? So similar to some of the questions that were asked, just a little bit more in detail.
And anything
Because
to
we
add?
have, we have how many years if we get the bond to use that life and safety money on life and safety? There's a time limit,
3
right?
years. Yeah, you have to use
years,
life
3
safety
years.
bonds on ISBE approved,
I-
excuse me. It has to be ISBE approved. It's got to be health and life safety, not just because we say so.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I mean, just looking at the 5-year forecast and stuff, it shows me, it shows right then and there that, yes, we are coming down with our cash fund balances. And again, I always feel like, this is life safety. I don't feel we should use, our cash balance on life safety. And I feel that, down the road, we're gonna need those cash balances, those cash fund balances for other things that are not life safety. Like you just said, the biology, the CCC, the Lincoln, the Lockport Academy, and then we have those unknowns that we just don't know in the horizon. We're going to need those.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is to understand that there are different financial strategies to do every single project and every single thing that's out there. We have delineated in that 10-year plan kind of how we wanted to lay it out, based off of the advisement from our CSBO and our facilities, administrators. And, I think that we do have a solid plan. So I'm comfortable with the way it is presented. I think that I would be happy to sit in any meeting that talks about the financial strategy a little bit more.
Excuse me.
I understand retiring debt and bringing on new debt, that is a strategy. So, and that's something that we've talked a lot about. So I don't know, Wendy, if you have anything to add.
No, I don't need anything explained to me further. I guess the one thing that I would say that I have experienced via the city of Lockport to kind of offer some input into this a little bit that is very frustrating. I'm just going to put that out there. I like personally to be able to pay for my projects as I have my money, right? Like that in ideal world, that's what we strive for. But what I've learned since being in the city of Lockport and being in the political world is that it doesn't work out that cleanly when you want to do these really expensive big projects. And my street, which I don't know if the mayor is going to kill me for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. On my street, Jefferson, is getting torn up right now. I don't know if you have noticed, but that area sucks, so stay away from there. But my street, when I'm going to say maybe 15 years ago, was already ripped up one time before. And the reason was because the political climate was a little different prior to that, and they were trying to do piecemeal projects and doing it in an affordable way that they thought would be more responsible with taxpayer money. But the problem is now, all these years later, because none of these projects were coordinated in a giant, big effort, we paid 2 times for this project because the street had to be re-ripped up because they knew there was other things that had to be done. I am seeing in this project that a lot of these things are unfortunately tied together in a lot of ways that in actuality are going to save us money, which it doesn't feel that way, and it's so stressful and nobody wants to spend this amount of money, but I fear that it's more responsible to do more in some of these types of cases. And I feel like this might be another example of that. It doesn't work as well to do the less is more approach or to pay as we go. And it's true, this is the cheapest time to do the project, which that too is incredibly frustrating to hear. And it's sometimes hard to wrap your mind around, but that is what I would put out there as we're thinking through all of this.
Thank you. Anything in addition, Candace?
No.
Okay. All right, and there is no written testimony?
None that we've received, no.
All right, all persons desiring to be heard have been given an opportunity to present oral and written testimony with respect to the proposed issuance of bonds. Can I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call.
Johnson? O'Halloran?
Yes.
Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
Strike?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Garrison?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes. Public hearing closed at 8:10. Okay, on to board salutes.
I have a few board salutes. I would just like to thank anyone involved with prom or the top 10% dinner. Like, those are really special nights for seniors, and like we're kicking off the senior events like as we exit Lockport. I just want to say thank you. Like, prom was a great time, lots of fun. Top 10% dinner. It was very well organized, and I appreciate that.
Also, all the events that are coming, graduation, it's already being planned. So thank you in advance to everyone working on that stuff.
To piggyback off of that, I did go to the top 10% dinner with a few folks in the room, so I know a few of us are probably going to have something to say about that. Just a huge thank you to the Rotary for putting that on. It's a wonderful event. It's a good partnership between the school district and a community organization. Shout out to Ann Gardner. I know she had a big hand in all of it, putting it together, creating all of the things. And just all of the administrators are there. It's great to see like everybody out supporting the kids, and then you guys that were there. So thanks for letting me sit at your seat, but then at your table, and then I got stolen away. But I appreciate the offer. But it just was a really nice night. I've been to it before. It's a great thing to go to.
Let's see. Oh, my board salutes. Oh my gosh, to all the students that were honored today in the cafeteria. I really salute them. The students from Japan, the Yamatai students. Oh my gosh, it's like in with Miss Carla Button and the host families that hosted all these students and all the activities. I really salute them. Thank you for everything you've done. They did, and then also salute to our superintendent in Boston Marathon.
Goodness, yeah, thanks.
It was a nice send off that we did for you.
Yeah, it was very great.
Yes.
Well, my board salutes are of all the same subject categories, but Carla Button, I would just like to do a shout out to her. She is a bundle of energy. She clearly enjoys what she does, and she loves her students, and she loves the opportunities that she can bring to the school. And I think she's a great champion of Lockport Pride. And I thought our students served Lockport well. I hope that the Japanese students had a great time. The few that I did talk to seemed to be enjoying themselves immensely. And again, a shout out to the parents, the host parents. That is a big commitment.
Yes.
And for hosting not just one, but two students. So thank you very much for doing that, because without that, it really, that's a big component of the program. So I thought that was great, and I look forward to having more students come through this.
Absolutely.
Well, everyone already kind of touched on the top 10% dinner, which was wonderful. It's my first time attending, and it was just amazing to see all the very well-dressed students, right? They're all in their best, and hearing their plans as they move out of Lockport and abroad. Like, it was amazing to hear all that. And then I wanted to also touch base. We went to the Three Rivers Division meeting, and I wanted to give a board salute out to two of our feeder districts boards, Lockport District 91 and Richland District 88A. They received awards, and I think it's really important to recognize our feeder district boards and all the work that they're doing to prepare the students as they come into our school. So I wanted to give a shout out to them.
I also saw the note that we got from the Science Museum about our students who attended prom, and it was so lovely to hear so many wonderful things, that you guys were just excellent representatives of the school. So
Yes, that was very nice to read.
it was fantastic.
Good job.
Okay. Student board report.
Okay. We had a slideshow, but I don't know if we can access it.
Did you send that slideshow to me, James?
Mrs. Maxwell has it, but it was on board docs.
I can send it to you real quick.
I don't think Dr. McBride has it. You know, everyone just sort of, you know.
I just sent the link to you.
Oh, did you?
Let's see if we can get it. James was really excited about this slideshow.
Oh, we have to watch it then.
We have to see it.
If you want somebody else to go, and I can, you know, oh, look at Ryan Gleason through the magic of technology, you know.
So I guess while we're pulling that up, I'll talk
Well,
about
here
our
it is.
Advisory meeting.
Look at that.
So at our advisory meeting, we focused a little bit on the splash page and how we can improve that for students. So we specifically looked at like adding new things to the dashboard, like feedback polls, so teachers and administrators can ask students questions, and students can quickly just yes or no type of quick response. And we also wanted to do something to like organize announcements a little bit better.
Okay, so this is our student report. I wanted to share some pictures because, you know, pictures, I just feel like they're cool to share.
So you'll tell me when you advance the slide.
Okay, you can advance. Okay, so these ones feature our Japanese foreign exchange students, and I just wanted to say that I loved having them here and, like, you know, interacting with them, talking to them. I thought it was a really cool experience. And the first two show like the after school activities where students like engaged with each other. They were playing card games and Uno, and they were talking directly to each other. So I thought that was a really great experience. And then the last one, all the way on the far right, shows the Yamate students visiting Miss Button's second like Japanese 2 class, and they were like talking to each other, interacting, and I just thought it was like a great like cultural experience to have with each other. And then also just like making new friends and stuff like that. So we love having them.
Should I go next slide?
Okay, so here we have some pictures from top 10% dinner, prom, you know, Dr. JJ, top left corner. Mrs. O'Halloran's daughter, bottom right corner. And then we have the student board members, and then we have like some of the NHS board, and then just some of the exhibits. Like, I thought they were all really cool, and like seeing them, interacting with them, that was a great experience. And then also the dancing was fun too. Like, you know, the dancing was fun.
One of the things we really want to talk about is how traditional and important it is to have our prom at the museum. It's an experience that a lot of people, like if I'll go tell my family members, oh, we had it at the museum, they're like, that's crazy. And I think that opportunity for Lockport students is really important, and I think it's a tradition that we should continue. The venue's beautiful. It's an experience that is like no other.
Definitely the best dance that I've had.
And then we also did want to touch on the facilities meeting. I know we talked about it a little bit on how we wrapped it up, but I did just want to say that the student board members were really excited to be involved in creating a little slogan for our projects. So we spent the whole last meeting up on the walls, drawing ideas and creating slogans that we want to present this this goal for, this 10-year plan. So we had a lot of fun with that.
Do you guys have any questions for us about anything that we shared? I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Those 4 student board members, you're out of a James Bond movie or something. Look at you up there.
That's great.
Great stuff.
AFT report.
Mrs. Kishland, I'm not sure your mic might be on, sorry.
All good. Good evening. Just wanted to build off of the excellence theme that was going on earlier today in the cafeteria. Again, it doesn't happen without dedicated teachers, coaches, sponsors, but also you as a board who, you know, are committed to making sure that all of, you know, the athletics still happen, the co-curriculars happen, along with obviously everyday academic things within the classroom. I wanted to take a minute to thank Kelly Featherling, Robert Beach, Dr. Osbolt, who put together the ACT. It was seamless. You know, I think as staff members, you know, we don't see all the behind, but it's a lot of work to have every student tested. And so they made it seem very easy. And so I just wanted to give them a shout out. And also build on your Carla Button. I think, you know, for some sponsors, she takes it a step above. You know, the last 2 weeks, it has been every minute of her life, and I know she would do it again. You know, she loves every second of it. But what she does to bring those experiences within our school and to all the students that were a part of it, she needs to be recognized for that. And she will have big shoes to fill eventually. So, but we are glad she's still with us. Also, just want to let you guys know that May 20th is our union retirement party at Zachary's Barn at 5 p.m. I think you should have been invited.
Yeah,
Okay,
we got an
okay.
invite,
I just want to make sure that my people are doing their work. But other than that, that is it. And I think we have 19 days left with my seniors. We have a little countdown, and it's going quick. So yeah. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, IASB report, did we lose Luann? Luann, do we have an IASB report? All right, well, we attended the Three Rivers Division meeting. The big topic was AI. And I thought that the presenter was very informative for everyone. Just, you know, coming down to having them come out and possibly, you know, do some work with the district that, you know, districts that they were presenting to, on just creating a policy or just talking about what the future of AI is and where you should and shouldn't be spending your money. I thought that that was very informative for us. I don't know if there's any other takeaways from that presentation that anybody wants to share. But
I think you summed it up very well.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anything on your end, Dr. McBride, that has come out from
Not really with
Okay.
IASB. You're going to the President's Summit.
Yep.
In June. You know, we just had our regional meeting, so. And III is coming up, you know, to register for it. Kathy's very much looking forward to it.
Have they posted the pre-conference session?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
Not yet.
I know that's what we're waiting on. All right, foundation report.
Good evening. I don't have a ton, but I just wanted to put on your calendars May 13th at 7 p.m. A couple of our board members here will be presenting scholarships, but you would be more than invited to scholarship night. It is my favorite time of year. It is like Christmas, except I'm giving away all these other people's money. It's so fun to do. We would love to have you there. This year, we're going to have a small reception after the awards. It is our goal to have the awards done in an hour and a half. That is our goal. Last year, it was just under 3 hours. So we can't keep doing that. So we're going to change it up a bit, a little more interactive. We're going to use technology and the screen. Eric Slager helped us create something that's lovely and hopefully meaningful to all of our scholarship donors. But I would love to see you guys there and congratulate our students on a couple $100,000 that'll walk out the door that night, which is a lot of fun. That's really it. You guys have a long meeting. So unless you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Golf outing, June 9th.
Oh,
Come to the
June
dinner. The
9th.
dinner's nice too, so I would advertise for you. Yeah.
Okay, legislative report.
I apologize, I don't have the 3 bills that I put in our board docs committed to memory, but once that's back up, there's links. There's many bills that are pending, kind of now coming out of committee. That energy. There are 3 that we're paying attention to. One is, I do remember Senate Bill 2914, which has significant changes to the notice to remedy employee discipline procedures in the state. It has sailed out of the Senate. It's over on the House side. We did, as the Illinois High School District Organization, attempt to have some amendments added to it that would codify some due process rights for staff members. Ultimately, those amendments weren't incorporated in the bill that has gone to the House, so we don't know what's happening in the House with it. The other bill we were watching very carefully was for educational support professionals who are 10-month employees being able to apply for unemployment in the summer. We were very pleased. Many voices asked, could we assess financial impact? There was a pause. The state legislator took a look at what would this actually mean if people were collecting unemployment. And like in our case, we pay our employees 26 paychecks through the summer and benefits through the summer. What if we were additionally, paying unemployment? What would that actually mean, and what would it impact? It looks like that bill has stalled because of just so many financial questions around it. Then the final thing, it feels like it is coming. The full total, beginning of the day, end of the day cell phone ban in public schools really seems to be rolling forward. That's really sponsored by the governor, and we'll see what that actually means in terms, if it makes the cross finish line. Last year, everybody said, "Oh, it's full of steam," it really is coming, and then in the 11th hour, it got lost in the Memorial Day weekend dash, and we didn't hear about it again. It seems to have more energy now, and what will be how do you implement that, right? Probably I think the biggest problem for high schools is passing period. If we're really supposed to separate, the intent of that is that the cell phone goes in a locker. There's all sorts of questions about that, so.
Okay.
Well, that's my legislative report.
Public comment follow-up, there is none.
None.
There are also no public comments this evening. There are no communications. And now I have approval items. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the March 16th, 2026 board meeting?
So moved. Second.
Okay, roll call?
Strite,
Yes.
Garrettson,
Yes.
Johnson, Hayes,
Yes.
Lopez Caniva,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the closed session minutes from March 16th, 2026?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Hayes,
Yes.
Johnson, Garrettson,
Yes.
Lopez Caniva,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Strite,
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the closed session minutes from the March 16th, 2026 board meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
Those are the same? No, they are. Oh, special, sorry. It's the special board meeting minutes.
I think you said the wrong date.
Yeah.
You said 16th.
April 9th.
It's April
Oh, so April
9th.
9th,
Yes.
sorry. I was just reading my script.
I thought maybe I was wrong.
Got it, I fixed it. You're fine.
You're fine.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the closed session minutes from the April 9th, 2026 board meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Oh, go ahead.
Roll call.
Lopez Caniva,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Johnson, Garrettson,
Yes.
Strike,
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the April 2026 board expenses?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Garrettson,
Yes.
Lopez Caniva,
Yes.
Strike,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Johnson, Shaw.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes. Treasurer's report. Ms. Croy, do I have a motion to accept the March 2026 treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second.
Good evening. I think the first thing I'd like to point out in the treasurer's report, I think I do it every time, is our statement of position. So Dr. McBride, would you please go to the financial reports, which is the first item? Thank you. So as always, the first thing that you see when you open the financial statements every month is the statement of position. And again, monitoring the month's cash on hand because it's a board goal. And I know we talked about that a little bit earlier in the hearing as well. You'll notice the time of year. So March is the second to lowest month, right? So April will be the lowest month because we won't get taxes until May. So we're at 8 months cash on hand operating, and you can see that operations and maintenance and transportation are much lower than that. So one of the things I'd like to point out is a difference between this statement of position and the statement of position that you see as part of the tentative amended budget. Because what's part of the tentative amended budget includes all the spring tax collections. So what happens is we collect all the money and then we spend it. So if we spent it first, we would be negative, right? So the reason that we have a range goal is so that when we get to this low point, we stay above 6. So right now we're at 8. I don't know if we'll get to 7 or if we'll get to 6. That's cash on hand. So that's just something we have to keep monitoring. And if the goal is to stay 6, which would be my recommendation, what happens then is end of year is always going to look higher. It's always going to be higher because that's not the low point of the district. And the point of the range is to make the low point of the timing, right? So April's month's cash on hand would be our low point. We've spent down the taxes we received in the fall, and then May we collect money to pay for the next, time frame. Okay, and so what happens then is June's ending fund balance usually looks inflated, but it's really not, right? Like because that money is already kind of planned out for spending purposes. So just kind of keep that in mind when we're talking about the month's cash on hand goal. The low point here, what I would not want us to do, and when I first started here, we had to do this. I want us to keep these, I would prefer, and I would think that the board would prefer it as well, keep these, the April, the low point, where we don't have to borrow funds, right? Either between funds or from outside entities to pay operating expenses, right? When I first started, we were borrowing between funds because exactly what's happening right here, a couple of the funds were lower and we needed to borrow from working cash to pay for things in those funds for a month and then pay them back. So just that's something I monitor, and this is the reason that I recommend, and I believe Dr. McBride recommends too, to keep some cash flow because we get to the point here where it's like, we got to be able to pay all the bills. And in some funds we can, and in some funds we're tight. So it's just something we got to keep in mind. And we can move some of that money around. The board can authorize interfund transfers, because that part of the law, I think, it's up for renewal again, I think, to be able to allow us to transfer between operating expenses or operating funds, which would mean ed, O&M, and transportation, to move the money between them. But again, I can't move any of the money. I have to have the board approve the money, so I would have to be bringing a resolution to you, which we may or may not have to do depending on how we end up next month, right? Are there any questions on that statement of position?
No.
Okay. I think that there was another comment about investments maturing, I think, earlier. So the investments are scheduled out so that they are maturing to pay for the things as we go. So this cash, the investment listing is listed by maturity date. So, and as you can see, most of the time, if you look down that maturity date list on the investment report, you'll see they're gonna hover right before payrolls and right before board bills are due. And so all those investments come due not at one time. They come due every 2 weeks, every month, so that they can pay the next payroll, the next board, bill list that you'll approve as part of this treasurer's report. And so what'll happen in May is we'll do the exact same thing. In May, we'll get the money, we'll get a bulk of the tax dollars. And then in June, you'll see a whole bigger list of investments, because I'll have given the cash flow listing of when money is needed to pay bills to PMA, so that their investment branch, so they can help me find investments. Okay. So I don't know if there's any questions on that investment process either. Otherwise, those are the only things I wanted to point out on the financial statements. The other thing that's in here is the 5-year financial statements, or 5-year financial forecast. So that has been updated this month. Slowly. Okay. So this is the 5-year financial forecast. There are 2 parts to it, actually, because there's 2 different pieces of software that I use. One is to say, okay, here, where are we right now, and project the rest of the months. So the first page is for the period ending March 31st. So the March financial statements are our actual point, right? So then, based on historical expenditures, which are in this, and revenue, which are in this program, it'll project out, and I can adjust manually a couple things, but it'll project out, typically you spend this much at this time each month, and where do our fund balances end up, right? So you can see, compared to the prior year, that's why there's 2 lines. There's a dotted line and a straight and a solid line. The dotted line is the prior year. The solid line is where the current year is projected to be. They're pretty close, slightly higher, but we'll just have to see how the year ends. And this does not include the fire prevention and safety, so the remaining bonds, because that really skews it otherwise, because it's a single purpose fund, right? It's just for those capital projects. It's just the fund, the bond proceeds that are in there. This is everything else. This is more of the rest of the operations of the district. And then page 2 of this document is, okay, let's look at where we're gonna end projected budget-wise at the end of this year, and where does it go forward? Now, the budget that's used here is what was approved in September. It's not updated for a final amended, because the board hasn't approved a final amended. But that's where you'll see, like Dr. McBride talked, fund balance is projected to be continued to be used, and you'll see that going down over the next 5 years. I think board members that have been on this before, I mean, Ann might be only one of them, but historically we've had kind of more of a level projection, right, where fund balance has kind of remained steady. And this is different because the board has chosen to spend down more, right? So that's why you'll see that, you know, if we're at 78 million now, we're expected to spend the 18 million over the next 5 years. Any questions about that? Now this, again, these are working documents, right?
But important, if, you know, where this document comes from is when you throw in all of our assumptions that we've made, 10-year plan, future labor agreements, rising costs of healthcare, materials, you know, you would end in 2031 lower in your fund balances than 2021. Is ultimately that arc, right? So I think the earlier conversation is if you want to accelerate that earlier, but it's also really important to remember that if you accelerate that earlier, it has a total effect of, you know, a sharper decline, right? This is a gradual decline over time so that you're, you know, like you're avoiding basically taking out debt to pay bills, right? That's one of the things that also cash reserves does for you. And then also the fluidity, you know, the cash on hand isn't a single static item. It moves with tax receipts in the season of that fund. And like Stephanie said, those funds they're just not interchangeable. They can only be transferred, you know, money transferred between you.
And as the board makes decisions on individually, like Ms. Hayes said earlier, like each project that gets approved or each, you know, whether it's debt or fund balance, however it's being paid, like each thing that gets approved will adjust this, right? So if the timing does happen, the board wants to do something earlier in 2027 than what's scheduled in this particular estimate, then that would change it, right? Same thing with when you look at the bars on the bottom, you know, this is showing right now because it's easiest to do so, that it's all being taken from the ed fund, but that may or may not happen depending on what's approved, right? It may be O&M goes down a little bit more. It may be this tiny little line of capital projects over here is part of the fund balance we use. And so that instead of growing a little bit because of interest and impact fees goes down and we use all of that, right? So there's lots of pieces, but some of those assumptions I didn't make, right? I made assumptions on some of the expenses we're gonna make and projecting, but because there's so many pieces to this, you know, it's a working document, I guess is what I'm getting at. And as things come through, I'll try to update it as often as I can, so. Okay. I think was that the only things I had in the treasurer's report there? I think so. The other things are for the tentative amended budget. So.
Any questions about the 5-year financial forecast? You know, built into it are all the assumptions of using fund balances on many things, not just construction projects. They'll come in handy. You know, and again, this is a really important document where, you know, I shouldn't say that, Stephanie has poured into it a set of assumptions that we believe, at least, that we're operating on. And so the only accuracy of the projection is if those assumptions are the assumptions that we're moving forward on. You know, this gives us targets to even adjust in the future, knowing where we're going to be. So that's where that set of directions from the board, if we think we're on the right path, that's good to know. If this looks like the right path, that's good to know. If this isn't the right path, if you're more aggressive in lowering your fund balances or you're more liberal and you think that's too low, this is where we can start changing some of those assumptions. You know, we obviously are showing this because we think this is the path that we believe we've set up, you know, where you want to be, you know, by 2031.
Good. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call.
O'Halloran?
Yes.
Strike?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Garrettson?
Yes.
Johnson? Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes. Okay, so for the board president's report, if you look inside your folder, we have two kind of timelines here to look at. I can't believe we're already talking about student board member applications. I feel like we just got you guys here. Huh? Oh, I just found out we had 29 applicants, so that's exciting. So the deadline was it Friday, the 24th?
Yeah, last Friday.
Okay, and then the two letters of recommendation are due May 1st, and then we will need to have a special board meeting, and we remember last time we did that in closed session, we interviewed 4 at a time when they would come in. Our student board members will be there to, chat them up and make sure they're not nervous, right?
Yep, I would just say we did meet with a few of them already and
Okay.
So
Okay.
we've made ourselves available to them. If
How are they
want it.
looking? Good?
I think we're
Okay.
in good hands.
All right.
It top us though, but they'll get there.
Okay, they'll get there? Okay. Okay, good to know. And then we'll do the finalist interviews during closed session on the 18th, and then we'll seat them in August. Any questions on that process? Any of those dates? No? Okay.
And I would say on the process, like I got an email from Wendy maybe suggesting the speed of your interviewing or the size of your panels, or, typically, I don't know if, I don't believe May 18th that you're going to be able to involve. I think you're going to have to wait till after May 18th to do any kind of interviewing. Just your business is going to be, there's so much on the board. And I think you're going to need that closed session for other things. So looking at when we might do interviews, last 2 weeks of May, first week of June, just giving some thought to that right now.
Okay.
And, how much time do you want to devote to those interviews? What we've done in the past is we've just set up a screening committee of administrators. We vet it for you first, and just look for anything that might, disqualify anybody, kind of get that ready so that we have just something prepared for you that gives you a little bit more information to take 29 candidates down to a more reasonable amount of people that you can interview.
And that, Bob, that's the process that we did last time.
Yeah, it's
Correct.
that,
I
and if
felt-
you have a change in the process, you'd like to, any along the way, it's really your process.
I felt that process was very smooth. I don't know what other board members felt.
I was just recommending that we tighten it up.
Oh,
There-
okay.
A lot of repeating of questions, and I didn't know if this was something we wanted to talk about
Yeah,
publicly. I just felt like there were ways that we could tighten it up and still get the results that we need and allow to have students be heard.
Sure.
So that was all.
Okay. So then the other packet that you have is the superintendent's search timeline. And then there's other school events on there too, but, so we put out our RFP and we had a number of the search firms reply back to us saying that they were going to submit a proposal. Have we gotten any? I haven't seen any official proposal.
Usually the firms closer to the deadline, the deadline's Friday, May 8th. I think that's when you're going to see your proposals come in.
Yep, so we've already had that special board meeting to talk about the superintendent search discussion. I actually talked to a few people who watched it, so they were like, that was a really good meeting, so congratulations to all of you. And then we're looking at, it's our proposed date to interview search firms is on the 18th. So I have created 2 rubrics. Candace and I are looking at which one we're probably going to use, tweak them, for everyone to take a look at the RFPs and then evaluate the RFPs that have come through to decide how many and who we want to bring back. Okay? I don't know, I think that's as far as I want to go right now as far as the process. So, any questions?
Will the interviewing be closed or open session?
The interviewing of the search firms, open session.
Okay.
So you'll be here for it.
So do we get rubrics?
We can. Can they get it?
You can't vote, but you certainly could give feedback.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So then outside of that, I just want to have a conversation really quick about our committee structures. I know we have our curriculum committee and then our finance and facilities committee. are we confident moving forward in how we are structuring our committee structure? Because we had a lot of discussion tonight when it came to facilities and finances. And I know we're going to talk about curriculum here in a little bit when it comes to the curriculum report. Again, at our last meeting, we decided that the committee structure, the purpose of it was to create proposals to present to the board in confidence that here is the recommendation that the committee is making. Are we still wanting to go with that, or are we wanting to look at kind of a more of a holistic meeting structure where all board members are in it, you know, in facilities and finance and in curriculum at the same time?
I am not proposing that we are all involved in that. I think the committees are fine.
Okay.
I think that would be a lot of meetings.
It would.
And I think, you know, yeah, just breaking it up, you know, I feel like, you know, like the finance and facilities, they really get in depth, you know, as far, and I'm sure the curriculum also does that. And we just have to trust, you know, the others that are on that committee to come back, you know, to say this is what, you know, what we recommend, you know, and I'm sure, you know, they can ask us questions or anything, but I feel that, yes.
Yeah, and in our board agendas, you know, the information is going to be there. Dr. Cristofero uploaded we can't see it tonight, but Dr. Cristofero uploaded everything, and in the finance side, everything was placed in there for the public hearing. I just want to remind board members that if this is the model we're going to go with, these are decision-making meetings, so any questions need to be asked ahead of time, and we need to make decisions when we're in this space. So I just want to reiterate that. Okay. Okay. Superintendent's report.
Great. Well, a number of things. I have a couple star players, starting out with Carrie Green and Jacqueline Johnson, but just as they saunter on up to speak with you, a couple of things. You know, I do want similar acknowledgments that Mrs. Kishline made. ACT, what a huge lift. That was, you know, an amazing day organizing all of those people. Jason Oswald, star player Kelly Featherling, and then every single, you know, staff member. We had many who were proctoring in rooms, proctoring in large spaces, proctoring one-on-one. It just, if you're here, you realize the enormity of the effort that we put into state census testing. Yamate Exchange, you should enjoy the fruits of your labor. Not every school board approves those type of global competency events. I think it's so wise of you to engage our district being connected with an international partner. 11 people who received those who excel awards. I was pretty proud that ours were so diverse, from, you know, custodial to paraprofessional to teacher to administrator. What a neat thing. Prom, enough said. You know, just really the kids who are out here at the resolutions, pretty amazing. I also think it's important to know that you know, there's a number of people working on our educational support, professional negotiations. Those are so important, kind of symbolically. Dr. Greenan heads that up on your behalf. Mrs. Kishline heads that up on the union's behalf. It's a healthy thing. Not every state in the United States now has a healthy structure for staff representation. And it you know, produces a better result in the end of the day when you have the sort of that you know, bargaining that occurs. It makes everyone think clearer. So I really appreciate the hard work that's going on. 2 reminders: graduation. There's something in your packet. Just, will you be at graduation? Anything we need to prepare for you? If you could certainly get that to Kathy. Statement of economic interests. If you haven't done it, be sure we don't pay your fine. So just letting you know. And you already talked about student board members. And the final thing I would say on behalf of myself is thank you for all the love and support. Boston was thrilling, emotional, grueling, amazing, and, you know, with all the support of so many people. Michaeline, I feel horrible, you know, giving up her birthday night, you know, but all that love and support, I could really fulfill a dream, and kind of bring it on back to Boston, where I started my professional career, participate in this very challenging event, and say that I finished, that I actually did. It was nice to wear my Porter hat. And let me assure you, porters are everywhere. So I had my Porter hat the whole time, and a number of times I couldn't tell if people were like cheering me because they saw the hat or not. But a woman burst out of a crowd in one of the places where you could. yelling, running towards me, I'm a porter, and gave me a hug. And on I went, which was a more slimy experience for her than for me. So they're everywhere. Porters are everywhere. So it's a thrill to represent our district. Now you are going to hear in my report a presentation that we gave to our staff about the 8-period day. It was excellent. Carrie and Jacqueline did it. And they're going to give you the same report because they've really fleshed out all the parameters of launching this addition to our school.
All right, so we're excited to share about the 8-period day. What we've been coining this time period is we're getting ready. And so some of the work that we started with at the April department chair meeting was for them to share a version of the schedule of the class periods of the day. And then we got some feedback, did some revision, and then we were able to share with the staff on April 16th what our plan is for getting ready. So in the first slide, you're going to see, this is what our current structure is for our students. You will notice that they have 5 academic classes, PE and health and lunch. And so with the 7-period day, they don't necessarily have the same opportunities that other students across the state of Illinois have. We know that there are students who would take classes in the summer so that they had time in their schedule to be able to take some of the electives like band and choir and a world language course. And so we really wanted to really focus on opportunities for our students and also opportunities for our staff. Some of the opportunities that you see behind me are, they range from being able to take another CTE class, more opportunity to take a band, choir, the arts, music, some flexible elective exploration. We know that high school is a perfect time to take classes to see what you're interested in before you spend all that money in college. And class, I don't want to be a marketer like I did and became a teacher. And so also looking at focusing on complex reading and those electives like English and social studies for our students to take an additional class. We notice that, like in our scheduling, that there are kids that want to take 2 English classes next year. They want to take their general, English 2 class, but they also want to take a writing class or things like that. And so this 8-period day gives them that opportunity that they don't currently have. So one of the things that we're really, happy about is that we are one district, one consistent structure. Central Campus already has an 8-period day. This allows us to have an 8-period day where our teachers will have 2 C&P periods or planning periods, and also gives us a similar time structure, which will allow our students to have 45-minute class periods for their 8-period day. So this is a slide that shows your approval in October and what that would look like. This structure shows that when we talked in October, we anticipated that maybe 2,500 students would take an additional 6th class. At that time, we talked about hiring 21 to 23 teachers. Right now, we are scheduled to hire 15 teachers and 4 social workers, so we're under than what we had anticipated in the fall. And we know, that we also talked about that financial commitment that we're excited to see transform our school with having more teachers at the school. Next slide, please. So there has been a shift in our Wednesdays. Currently, we have like a 2-hour time period from 7:30 to 9:30 where teachers are able to meet with their collaborative teams. Next year, we will have a 75-minute period of time where teachers they will start at 7:30 and they will end their time at 8:45, and then we will go into our 8-period day. If you notice on this slide also, it's 45-minute periods, and the way to look at our schedule, and we'll show it in a second, on the Wednesdays, our outer periods are periods 1, 2, 3, and 8. They're 40 minutes at East Campus, and then 41 minutes on the inside periods where there are lunch periods. And then at Central Campus, it's 41 minutes on the outside and 42 minutes on the inside so that we have good lunch structures for our students. This is the first schedule, our daily schedule of the day. So our students will have 45-minute class periods. You'll notice some micro differences. We will have a 5-minute period at East Campus in between class periods. We know that our students still have to get from one end of the building to the other, and so we could not shorten our passing periods. Also, campus will be 30 minutes. and they will have 20-minute lunches. At Central Campus, they will have 4-minute passing periods, and then also 38-minute compass. What we realize is that it's important for our students who are transitioning from 8th grade to high school to have a little bit more time for support during compass, and so that's why they have a longer compass period than we do. You will also note that this next upcoming school year, we have Wilco students that will have lunch during 5A, which right now they currently don't. They leave, they go over to Wilco, but next year they'll be scheduled into a lunch period. Also, for our students who are going to be traveling from East Campus to Central, they will have 7A lunch. They will then travel during 7B. Central Campus will house them during their study hall, and then they will have their class during 8th period. So we figured out the structure for being able to take classes over at Central Campus at the end of the day.
Are we asking questions as we go, or are we waiting?
Oh, you can, sure.
I think you're, go right ahead and ask questions.
Absolutely.
I had a lunch question.
Sure.
So how long is lunch now?
Lunch now is like 23 minutes.
And I guess this might be for our student board members, or if you're buying lunch, we're cutting back lunch time as well. Can you guys eat?
You know, I think you will be able to eat. It's kind of just like looking at the opportunity cost of it. Like, we're getting a whole new period, but we're losing some lunchtime. Like, we can't really have it all. So we're just gonna have to be a little bit more diligent when we go to lunch, like hustle, get to the line, you know, all that type of stuff. Maybe sacrifice, not get the panini every day, bring our own lunch. Just some things that like they may go without, but it's like there's a greater opportunity to take another class, I feel like.
And I will say that on Wednesdays, the lunch period is 17 minutes, and students are able to eat in
It's
that time
definitely
period.
manageable.
Really short.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah,
17
on Wednesdays, it's 17 minutes. So next year, they'll have like one more minute at East Campus, 18 minutes.
Like, I will say, you do get used to eating quickly, but it's not that much of an inconvenience.
And we also met with our food service quest to talk about how we can, with managing, you know, the new structure of our day. And so one of the things that they're thinking about is being able to electronically order some of the options that we have. And then also restructuring some of the lines so that maybe we'll have some pre-made options of a panini with like the Dr. McBride sandwich, you know, like whatever that may be. It's like turkey with no cheese. I'm kidding.
Just a turkey
Just
sandwich.
a turkey sandwich.
Dr. McBride special.
It's a Dr. McBride special. And so, you know, that's our Monday through Friday, except for Wednesday, structure of our day. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague.
So then on the next slide, you'll actually see our Wednesday calendar, and you will see the collaboration time from 7:30 to 8:45, like Dr. Johnson said. You know, that's being 75 minutes will be the new time for collaboration on Wednesday mornings, with the focus still on student work. One of the things that we really need to keep in count of when we were looking at the Wednesday schedules, making sure that we have the 300 minutes, you know, minimum minutes for a school day. So you'll see at East Campus, they still have the 5-minute passing periods. They'll have 306 minutes on a Wednesday. And then at Central Campus, we'll have 312 minutes of school time, you know, of educational time. So we're very excited about that. But again, we'll keep just the micro differences. But actually on Wednesdays, they actually have more time, you know, a minute or two more than they actually do right now for the Wednesday schedule. And then the other schedule that we wanted to come up with is our early dismissal schedule. We use this the day before spring break. We also use this like when we do our assemblies, our homecoming assembly, we'll use the early dismissal schedule, and then the assembly will be on the end. That's one of the things we did talk about with Quest, because at first we were talking about maybe we just do snacks on this day, but we know that some of our students, this is one of their main meals. And so in the conversation with Quest, we talked about having more grab and go lunches. Like I said, this is, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, but having more grab and go, so that way it's a full meal for our students when we have to use the early dismissal schedule. One of the things that we're really excited about, so you'll see both the East and the Central early dismissal schedules, but if you go to the next slide, we love this slide with Thursday being
Yes.
anchor down. We're really excited about this anchor down period. So teachers right now have their C&P, and next year they'll have both their C&P and anchor down. At Central Campus right now, we do have our team meetings. but we will meet once a week on Thursdays. And our focus will be at both campuses. It'll be on professional development. It'll still be on collaboration. We'll be able to do some of the trainings that we have to call mini-fac meetings for now within this anchor down time. So at East, anchor down is new. At Central, I said to my staff, it's kind of redesigning, reimaging what we're doing for our team time right now. And JJ and I talked, we're going to put out a 9-week schedule at the beginning of the year so that the teachers know what every Thursday will entail and what the focus will be. And then once, we get the hang of it, we'll then try to put out semesters at a time. Because on the next slide, we said to our staff, one of the things that we understand is that, change can be difficult. And so there are some navigating those micro shifts, the 45-minute period, the CMP and anchor down, the compass adjustment at both campuses. Those are micro shifts. And we know that there's a lot of positives, but we also know it with change, we want to make sure to acknowledge that and prepare our staff for it. And the same goes with daily logistics. With schedules and with adjusting, there's building adjustments, but there's also personal adjustments for our staff. With the earlier start at 7:40, staff have to kind of rethink some of their personal schedules as well. And then the collaboration support. On Wednesdays, we are still dedicating our time to looking at student work. Our Porter team time clock really has been effective, and we have seen that. So we know that we're going to be using those 75 minutes to really focus on student work and being able to put interventions in place. So when we talk to the staff, on the next slide, you'll see, we said this is a time of support, but it's also a time of grace. With change, we know that it's hard, and so that everyone has to make adjustments to their routines. In March, we took a look at, and we were focusing on looking at curriculum and transitioning when we talked about our SIP day, so that was kind of a start. We started to make that adjustment, and we dedicated that day to really taking a look at, okay, what are the changes we need to make curricularly to go to those 45 minutes? And then we're excited to use our Curriculum Palooza. That was a phenomenal event last year where I really felt like our staff really had an extended period of time where they really were able to dig in and do a lot of great work. And so with Curriculum Palooza, we have those 2 days to make sure to prepare and adjust, for next year as we head into the 45-minute periods. And then we said it's a period of grace. It's a time where we really need to acclimate ourselves to a new structure. And one of the things that I shared with our staff is when we put in Compass. At first, when we put in Compass, there's a lot of angst and a lot of the unknown. And our staff really was a little hesitant, with how is it going to work? What are these home ports and the home port lessons? And how am I going to schedule 5 kids every day in responsive scheduler? And now when we think about it, we couldn't live without Compass. It's kind of a non-negotiable, and it's something that we saw because when we started doing the research on the next slide, we started doing the research back in January of 24. We knew that we need to create opportunities for kids. That's our why. That's the whole reason why we're doing this and making the investment. And we talked to, Dr. McBride did a phenomenal job of making sure that we were able to talk to other schools and their personnel on all of the different structures. We looked at a traditional block. We looked at a 4x4 block. We looked at the hybrid block, of Downers Grove. And then we looked at the 8-period day. And we looked at the pros and cons of all of them and then really figured out what is best for us. And one of the non-negotiables was that Compass period. And so we decided that the 8-period day, what was best for our students and for us here at Lockport. And so that committee then stayed on to take a look at and address the operational details that would go into making it an 8-period day. So with our staff, as we kind of went through and concluded the presentation, we were looking at our timeline, like where did we go and how are we getting to next August? And after the research, you made a commitment to this, and thank you on behalf of our staff and our students. Thank you for making the commitment and the investment into giving these new opportunities for our kids. We are grateful, beyond grateful for this opportunity and ability. And then with your charge, we then use that committee to take a look at the operational needs and details and really have worked up to this point. And then this summer, we're going to continue the curricular preparation to make sure that we are ready to go with our curriculum, our assessments, and give our students the best possible education that they can receive now within 8 periods. So we're very excited about the implementation. We are going to be able to see our kids flourish. So many times we hear kids say that, I would love to have taken that class, but I just couldn't fit in my schedule. So thanks to you and your commitment, now they will be able to have that opportunity and make some of those life decisions before they even leave Lockport High School. So thank you to the Board of Education.
Any questions for us?
Questions for us?
No, thank you so
They
much.
did a great job of really
Thank you very
pulling this
much.
whole thing, like articulating the entire final package. So I think it really helped to share it with the staff, share it with you, get everyone to know. Doesn't mean it will be flawless fall, but means, forewarned is kind of foreprepared, so great. Yeah, great job, thanks. Thanks.
guys.
Thank you.
And not so fast, Dr. JJ, because on to flag football with Mr. Dwyer, the fastest growing women's sport in the state of Illinois. We are presently, at this moment, the only members of our conference that do not have a flag football team.
You're stealing my presentation.
We'll hear a little bit. We are asking you later to approve this IHSA offering, so direct me when you want me to flip slides.
Sure, thank you. Thank you to the board again for allowing us to talk about girls flag football. We are excited, like Dr. McBride said, we really are the last group in our conference to propose joining, the crew to have a girls flag football team. And so if we were to move forward, next slide, please. If we were to move forward, we would have 10 sports in the fall, 6 female and 4 male sports. And then sidelight cheer and dance. And so we wanted just to make sure that you knew, like, a lot of good opportunities for our kids. And this would just be another one that, students are really excited about. Yes, thank you. So again, like we said before, we have 8 members of the Southwest Suburban Conference that have already adopted the individual program. It is the fastest growing sport, in our state currently. Mr. Dwyer did a wonderful job these last 2 years of surveying our students to see what their interests were in participating in girls flag football, and there is a wide range of students that want to do this, and so we wanted to bring this forward to the board as an opportunity for them. It would be another positive opportunity for our students, and it also aligns with the other conference offerings, so we would be just in alignment with all other schools in our area that's putting on girls flag football.
Just to talk a little bit about the structure and just real quick, again, thank you, to borrow a line that I heard this evening from our esteemed colleague, Dr. Green, creating opportunities for kids. This is another chance for us to do that. Our board has been so gracious in allowing those things. We heard from one of those a couple years ago. We adopted girls wrestling, and tonight you saw the fruition of that in Claudia Heaney, and what a great representative of not only Lockport High School, but of our community, a female athlete, a female leader, a female student athlete, like Dr. McBride and I were talking before the meeting. So just to put a little bit of meat with the numbers, again, the last 2 years, we did put out surveys. We wanted to take our time with this to make sure that we were making good decisions, to get some feedback and some data from some other schools. In 2024, there were only 100 schools. In 2025, it jumped up to 225. And this year, there's an anticipated over 320 IHSA schools will adopt a girls flag football team. In those surveys, 99% last year and 98% in the year before, students expressed an interest in that. This year, we had 132 respondents. So to me, that's they were interested. To me, that represents real participation, not a hypothetical, I might be interested in it. Real participation. That's truly enough to field 2 full teams immediately, a varsity level and a JV level. You do have to keep the rosters at a certain number in order to make sure kids are getting great experiences, to make sure that student athletes are learning the game as well. So we would anticipate about having 20 athletes per level. And again, one of the reasons why we kind of pushed the pause button on this was to get that feedback. One of our sister schools, as Dr. Johnson mentioned, they had over 30 kids on their roster, and it wasn't a great experience for a lot of them. So we were able to really gather some data as to what would be impactful and effective for our student athletes. We would anticipate having about 15 to 20 games. As mentioned, our conference schools already do have a schedule in place. So even though we are kind of behind The 8 ball, as far as the timing goes, we would have an opportunity to have a built-in schedule with meaningful games pretty quickly. And again, we anticipate minimal impact on our existing fall sports. That was another thing that we had discussed and we're concerned about. In the survey results, only 5% of the student athletes who, or I'm sorry, only 5% of the students who responded were fall athletes. So very minimal impact, we feel, for our current fall athletes moving forward. So we would play the games in the stadium on the turf, just like the boys. We anticipate them practicing at the A field, using the turf field over there, so they would have access to that at the same time. We're not displacing other programs, and we have locker room space over there that would be dedicated to them as well. I think we could probably jump to the next slide. Perfect. Oh, I think I covered that. I'm excited.
Okay, good. Next one.
We were thinking about 4 coaches for the entire program. Again, 2 per level. Again, we want to make sure that our kids are getting instruction in this new sport as well as we're rolling it out. One coach per 10 student athletes, we feel is a very good ratio. And again, there are 5 to 7 different positions, so it is imperative to have 2 coaches at each level so they can provide proper instruction for safety, the rules of the game, technique, those types of things. Next slide, budget, yep. We were anticipating an 11.5% category for our coaches. Again, it's very similar to programs like water polo, cross country, I believe. And the assistant thing would be 8.5% or 8.4%. Again, matching our criteria that we have now for sports that are similar in length and similar in time of season. And the operating cost of a game, traditionally, you would like to have 3 officials per game. What I am hearing, again, from a lot of my colleagues, that they're traditionally getting 1 to 2 JV officials and then 2 to 3 varsity officials. So that really would depend on the number of officials. Fortunately, that official pool in girls flagpole is growing exponentially. A lot of the football officials are doing girls flag football because they're not on Friday night games. So it gives those officials lots of opportunities in the fall. So we have been very successful. My colleagues have reported that they've been very successful in finding officials. Game workers is very minimum. We would have a clock operator, an announcer, a couple of crowd control people, and 1 down person. In a traditional football game, you have 4 people on the chains. In flag football, you only need 1 person monitoring the downs. The distances are already marked off by cones in the field setup. Again, just simple transportation in a 20-game schedule. We would anticipate having 50% of our games at home, so we would need some travel expenses for that. As far as equipment, I think the next slide might have the equipment. No, that's down there. The equipment is very minimal. We would just require mouthpieces for our student athletes, new uniforms, which would just enter into our uniform rotation plan that we currently have. The initial cost of those uniforms would be about $9,000. And the other equipment is very minimal, and we'd already have sufficient funds in our budget line to support that program in this initial season. So I think that's it.
Any questions about girls flag football?
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So with the initial cost of the uniforms being about $9,000, that would cover both teams, JV and varsity,
Yep.
correct?
And home and away.
Okay.
Yeah, both sets.
Great, so with both sets. And then, do you have a ballpark for all the costs for the first season, what you think it would cost? Transportation, game workers, just like a ballpark figure?
So again, about $450 per game for home games. So again, if we had about half of our schedules home, about $4,500 for workers. The officials, again, same thing, about $420. So we're looking at $8,000 roughly. I'm a social studies teacher, so those are hard questions for me. But so roughly about $8,500, I would think, for our home contests. The transportation costs, I don't know. Okay. But again, most of the games would be very local. We would really want to focus on playing local schools, SWSC schools. Okay. We have an opportunity to join a tournament that would provide several games in one day for our student athletes, so that would really kind of cut back on those costs. So that is one of the caveats of the sport. Is a lot of programs are doing that. They're developing kind of like jamboree, so the kids could play multiple games in a day as opposed to playing multiple games throughout the week.
Okay.
And is it fair to add to that? Because those are good questions.
I
The,
just would like a ballpark on that. yeah.
the coaches component, is that like, and maybe around $40,000? Hopefully less.
Yeah, way
But
less.
it depends on who you hire, right? Because it's 11.5% of whatever their salary is.
Correct.
So.
It's 11.5% of the
Or
the
is
base
it,
that we already have. I didn't bring that with me. It's roughly $6,000, I think, is the stipend for
Per
the head
coach?
coach. For the head coach,
For
yeah,
the head
slightly
coach.
less.
Okay, is it for a year?
$6,000 for a year. Yes.
Okay.
Per season.
For the
I'm sorry.
season.
Yeah, per season.
Right, but there's only one season per year.
Yeah,
So
one season
But only
in a
one
year.
head, and that would only be one head coach at 11.5%, 3 assistant coaches at 8.4%, and I believe that number is 46,000. 11% of 46,000, 11.5%.
Starting, so
Yeah.
I don't know what your, so the way
Correct.
that, yeah, I don't know what comparable coaching would be, right? Like, so in theory, you could place someone at a higher step, but if I had to guess, I'm
It would be
thinking
football.
$20,000 for the coaches, maybe
Right.
$2,000,
Mhm.
something like that.
Okay.
And then my other question was, what's the participation fee per student?
0.
There's no participation fee?
No.
No.
Yeah, we
okay.
don't, we charge one, student registration fee.
Registration fee,
That
what would
covers
that,
everything,
what would
so.
that be?
It's like.
It's the
Well, no,
your
that's
normal school
for
fees.
the whole year.
For school, you didn't
That's,
know for.
yeah, that's the school
Okay.
fees, and
That covers
that's
it
it.
all.
It's just one size fits all.
Mhm.
No individual activities or
Activity.
sports fees.
I know girls flag football is growing rapidly because my cousin, she's at Lincoln Way Central. She's a freshman. She's on a club team right now, and she really enjoys it. And I think for next school year, she talked about transitioning to playing girls flag football instead of cheerleading, sideline cheerleading.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
just
the
a
Lincoln
thought.
Way's just adopted it this year, so they will be in their inaugural season in 2026 as well.
Mhm. That's it.
Any other questions?
I just have a last question. So it's for, you have 15 to 20 per level,
Correct.
so about essentially 40 kids.
Correct.
Do you anticipate, since it's growing so much, have you thought about what happens if you actually get more kids who want to come out than you've got spots for?
Yeah, unfortunately, we have designated this as to be a cut sport. Yeah, and again, and no one looks forward to those days. But in order to make sure that we are, again, providing the proper instruction, providing opportunities, for kids to actually have time to play on the field, to be involved in the games, to be involved in the practices, that's really the best number. Like I said, we took some research from other schools, and a school who did very well. Last season they had 30 kids on their team. They're 35 in the first year. They cut it down to 30, and they still said it was not a great experience because there's only 5 to 7 players on the field at a time. Some of those players do play both ways, so now you're really limiting opportunities
Right.
for student athletes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for us?
Exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
thanks.
much.
Thank you very much. And that's our superintendent report.
All right, for some reason on my agenda, the Freedom of Information request now. So there are 9 of them, and we did get confirmation the board docs is back up, so you can see them if
It's
you need.
for some reason not loading on my
Oh, it's
computer,
not?
so
Oh,
I
well, sometimes you have
apologize.
these. So, peeking over. All right, curriculum report.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hello.
I did go old school and bring some print copies in case anybody wanted some in their packet. Alrighty. All right, so by the way, I just want to say I didn't get to see you at the top 10% dinner because I was at the Trees dinner celebrating Chris Davis, who received Teacher of the Year award. So just another shout out celebration here tonight. So Carrie already alluded to several times Curriculum Palooza, summer curriculum work to really support our teachers as they move forward. And so that was one of the first things we talked about at the curriculum committee meeting. I'm requesting the same number of hours this year, 1750 that we had last year. The cost is just more because the teacher's pay rate per hour for that work went up. But I don't know if you have any questions about that because I think Carrie did a good job in her report just talking about how we use that, and certainly any of the curriculum committee members could talk about it. The second thing we talked about was the new instructional resources requested for next year. And we really talked about the process, how we vet those, and then what were the final selection of new resources for next year. The teachers were really excited at the opportunity to have hard copy textbooks as a fiscal responsibility measure instead of giving them out to every student. There's lots of opportunities for us to have classroom sets. Classroom sets also provide opportunity for the teachers to do the reading practices we've been talking about to increase our student disciplinary literacy. So we talked about that as well. And then the last item in the curriculum committee was Dr. Oswald talked about how we are using pre-ACT data with individual teachers and teacher teams to help address achievement gaps. So those were really the three items. And again, on our committee, the summer curriculum work budget is on here tonight as a consent agenda item. And then the approval for instructional resources is an action item tonight. I'll just pause there in case you have any questions or any of the committee members want to say anything.
I would like to mention that the pre-ACT data work that the team has been doing here at the school was really excellent, and I could see that it was going to be something that I think will greatly impact our students in a wonderful and very positive way. So that is a tremendous effort, and it is really brilliant what they're working on right now. I did have a few concerns that I had questions about when I was at the meeting that we were still seeking some clarification on. And one of them was the resource of the AI component. And so one of the things that the district is asking for is to purchase Brisk, which is an AI educational component. And I guess my original question was, like, how did we end up choosing Brisk? And my other question was how we are a Google educational school, so that has a built-in component that is a professional level of AI that has Gemini. And I guess I'm wondering why we aren't taking, I mean, it's possible that staff is taking advantage of it, and I realize that Gemini is a broader language model than Brisk is. Brisk is very specific to education, but I was wondering if we have, if the tech representatives in the building, are we training the staff on using the component that's already built into what we are paying for versus adding on another component, which is roughly almost $20,000, correct?
It was 16,500, yeah.
Okay.
I think some of the things that Kate Fahey, who is our instructional technology specialist, she shared that the Brisk gives teachers the ability to provide quick access to student feedback, changing reading levels, which maybe you could do some reading level changes in Gemini, but it can produce quizzes or slides in a different way than I think Gemini can. It can inspect writing and be a writing coach for students with targeted feedback, especially when we are uploading rubrics. And I would just say that when we do the leadership meetings for the new instructional resource requests, I'm there, Stephanie's there, Kate Fahey is usually the representative from the technology department, as well as the building level administrators there. Mr. Beach was there this year, so that we're sure to make sure we're checking to make sure we're not duplicating anything we do. And so I think Kate and Megan, who are two instructional technology specialists, have a really good pulse on what's going on both campuses. They were in, Brisk was piloted. It was piloted through the English department. They got really good feedback there. And then it was also piloted in the academy with special education teachers. And so as it came up, they thought it would be a good resource. I'm going to ask Mr. Dusterhoff if there's anything he wants to add, but as far as how to use Gemini and write prompts, I do think we are still learning more, particularly about the GEM piece of it. And I don't even remember what GEM stands for, but Dr. Oswald previewed that a little bit in our meeting, where you could have, you could teach the AI to write a specific kind of prompt, but even the one he showed was some prompt. He didn't write that. He got that from an outside source. So there's still work to be done in Gemini, but I think Brisk, for most of our teachers, the big thing about it, it's already integrated seamlessly, that they don't have to learn all the new nuanced prompt writing. I don't know if there's anything you want to add, Matt.
Yeah, I think. Well, let me.
Here you go.
I think Brisk for sure is, having been piloted through the English department and then the academy with the special ed component of leveling reading and leveling work in one closed system is really key. We are systematically trying to train staff, but there's only so much time and so they aren't experts in using Gemini by any stretch. I think it's important that the English department also is recommending this tool. AI has impacted English department more than any other department. And so when they found a tool that they truly thought was worthwhile, it's certainly one of the reasons that pushed it forward. The inspecting reading piece is really important. Detecting student work, English teachers can almost always detect it themselves. They can just read a paper and they know that it wasn't necessarily written by that student. It's a gift, it's a skill, a gift that they have. This inspect writing tool helps them and can help them identify when students aren't doing it, when it does slip through, because instead of determining whether it's AI or not, that's not what that particular piece of this tool does. It shows the teacher what they, how the student wrote. Like, it's almost like a timeline. It's a flow of, so if this thing will notice or is able to tell if a student copy and pasted 2 or 3 paragraphs at a time into this, right? That's a red flag, because what teachers and the building, what the district is concerned about is the writing process. And so if we can inspect the writing process, it helps guarantee that it wasn't AI, or students weren't using AI to write the bulk of their paper, and why we're doing that. Back to, will we use it forever? I don't know. GEMS is a part of Gemini, where it lets you build smaller closed system chatbot type things that maybe will grow and develop, where we can get rid of Brisk. We have examples of that. There's 2 products. One's called Paradeck and one's called Nearpod. We used to use both because they did different things, And over time, both started to do exactly the same things, and we said, okay, and we made the painful decision to cut one, and everybody had to use the other one. So as tools change and develop, we're always examining them, and 3 or 4 years from now, we may not need it. A lot of that might get built into Google Classroom. This Inspect Writing tool, right? That's the kind of thing that Google Classroom may develop themselves and then build in there, 2-3 years from now, and we'll be able to move away from that.
It does have some kind of a component in Google Classroom now to review papers.
I was gonna go in a different direction. I wanted to talk about the special education teacher who had such good experience with Brisk. It was a teacher in our academy who has 7 preps in the school day, multiple levels of students within a class, and he was just really passionate about it. He came to our Helm showcase, willing to show the work that he was able to do to better support students.
And so as those, again, some of it is about, thank you. Some of it is about training and teachers' comfort level, right? Brisk, the whole interface is designed for teachers, where GEMS and Classroom, yes, is designed for teachers, but maybe not as specifically as something like Brisk or even Magic School, which we don't use, but is a very AI specific teacher program. So like I said, as teachers become more trained and more comfortable with using Gemini on its own, and the GEMS continue to get better, like I said, a couple years from now, we may not continue to use it because we're able to replace it with other things.
And I appreciate you saying that, just because when we went to that Three Rivers meeting, he highly recommended don't get into a multi-year contract with any AI type thing, just because it's going to change so fast. I think and we could probably use this ROI process that, DMG gave, let's use a bunch of acronyms right now, that DMG provided us. But I would like to see, and I think the board members would appreciate, at the end of this cycle of this year using it, like what kind of use are we getting out of it? How many teachers are using it? Things like that.
And do you think that, I guess my other concern is we don't have an AI policy yet for the school district. And talking to other schools in Illinois, many of them do not. But at the same time, so it's not like, oh, we're behind the times. We are not. We're all kind of stuck in the same boat here. But I guess the question is, if we're going to be purchasing AI components, should we have the AI policy for staff and students in place before we make these kind of decisions? I'm just asking.
Yeah, and maybe let me take that question. And it is a moment where also I just ask if we actually do have a policy. And it was one in our press adoptions, and the policy is aligned to a state statute that we have to have guidelines, district guidelines, by July 1. And I think it's just important in this space. I would not recommend, with a fast-moving target like AI, that any board adopt a policy, because by the time you adopt it, it will be outdated. And that's true if you look at our acceptable use. Any of our technology policies set, an expectation that there are guidelines, there are HR processes. So you'll see May 18th, the guidelines that we've been working now almost for 2 years, that are sort of the work with Leap Production, Leap Innovations, working with the ARG group, working with the student group. All of that is coming your way May 18th to look at those guidelines for a first reading, because they have to be adopted by July 1st. And so this is highly aligned with the work that those teachers and students have been doing. So just to kind of wrap that around, it's just the practice of using AI is so fast moving that I don't know a board that can adopt a policy that can address the practice, right? So the current policy is to have an expectation that we have guidelines that you've approved by July 1.
And so with AI in general, sorry, I forget about the mics. Sorry, with AI in general, we're trying to close the doors a little bit. And why purchasing something like Brisk is important. We want teachers only using Gemini, any really staff. We only want them using their school account to use Gemini to put some walls and some guardrails around what tools they're using and then what data they're sharing, right? So we may start to block Claude and ChatGPT here at school altogether so that people aren't using those tools. We know that we hope they're not putting any student data out there into those systems. And so that's where we're at, right? We're trying to get our arms around it, where traditionally we might have let people use all sorts of tools. In this case, we are trying to bring it back into a silo of tools that are district approved and approved. Yeah.
I'm just paying attention to time. So I just wanted to preview really quick. That was the other part of my report, what you'll be seeing next month. I gave you a memo about English novels, what our process is for approval with that, and what we're going to ask you to approve there, because that whole cycle wasn't done for curriculum committee meeting. Also, I'm really working hard right now on something called the Consolidated District Plan, and that's where I printed off my notes because I feel like the executive summary is really about last year's, and I wanted to give you a greater context, but it sounds like stuff's up and running, so I don't need to pass that out. But it's important that the Consolidated District Plan, it's a continuous process, right? Like I don't start over brand new every year. I look at what did we write previously and how have we changed. And it's what we have to give to the state to say how we are going to be using federal grants, titles 1, 2, 3, 4, an idea, in a way that best supports students. You're talking right now, not duplicating services, making sure that we're using most useful ways and that we're supplementing what we'd already be doing and not supplanting, right? Like a quick example I could give you between supplement and supplant is if we have a call for a freshman math teacher and we say, oh, we're going to pay the freshman math teacher out of just the grant, that could be considered supplanting. So we always try to make sure that it's over and above what we are already doing. Things like paying for students to have credit recovery. We have learning success coaches. These are things we can do over and above. And so for next month with the Consolidated District Plan, which I did print off 2 hard copies in case you wanted to see examples, but they're really long, dense, comprehensive, lots of questions from the state. I will highlight for you what are the differences between last year's plan and this year's plan. I will tell you on a final note, they have asked that there are additional things we have to do to make sure that our Consolidated District Plan is eligible. So while I tell you it's a continuous process, we are always listening to stakeholders, what they're saying their kids need, what teachers are saying so that we can use those funds most appropriately. So that doesn't matter if that's a meeting I have every 3 weeks with the assistant principals where we look at data and see what students are we missing, what do we need to do, or Dr. Green and Dr. Johnson having a weekly meeting with the department chair, or Dr. Huntington meeting with our teachers who are in our Park Academy. We're constantly listening. But now we have to have like kind of this meeting where some of our stakeholders are coming in and evaluating it. So that'll be happening tomorrow night. And those are parents from variety of parents from our community, but specifically our BPAC parents, which are bilingual parents, and then also some parents who have students with IEPs. We'll also be there. We'll have students there. So I think it'll be a nice time and we'll get some good feedback. And I think that's it, unless you have any questions.
I just had a quick question about the textbook reference sets. Are you rolling those out in some classrooms, some departments over time? Is it?
Yes, to all those things. So the department chairs are incredibly fiscally responsible, and they realize that, you know, if we were to purchase textbooks to put in the hands of every student this year, you were talking about finances, that would be a big ask. So they talked about, again, sets in classrooms where the class would meet and being really thoughtful about where they scheduled teachers so students would have access to those books. Some departments, I shared this with you, the math department is going back to some topical, right? So they're waiting until next year to start that process. Our world language teachers, in particular, they wanted some additional time too. So it was just kind of a nice process where some people said, we have these needs right now to get these in students' hands. We have some needs for classroom sets so we can work on helping students read and have access to these. And then and some people said we wanted to wait.
And then how does that get, if the reference said something about my days at the library where you can look at them but you can't take them out, so is that what you mean by reference too, that they can keep them on school property but they can't take them home?
No, we will work with the building leaders to have a checkout process for the students. Teachers, we still have copy machines, we still have scanning capacity for it, but they clearly can't have every student taking the book home every night. That doesn't work if you have a classroom set. So I do think they were really thoughtful. Where will classroom sets work and where will they not work?
Are there digital components that go with the classroom set so that if students needed to, that they could look at it online or no?
The one that's like coming to my mind is social studies, and she really just talked about the online tool was so not useful. They were like, we don't want that, and they are getting more classroom sets, right, than some of the other departments. There are some departments like chemistry where there's an online tool and then there's a textbook. So it was a mix. It was about what is right for that class and how do we best support the students. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Principal's report.
Yeah, and we are just gonna have it, I know you can't get in a board doc, but the principals went earlier, so just put this in there. Their information tonight.
Right, then there's 3 overnight field trips, the facilities report.
You've got, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at the facilities report when it was presented, before we lost our connection with board docs. I don't know if there's any questions about the facilities report.
Pictures were back.
Yeah.
The pictures are back.
Like the pictures.
We love the pictures.
Any questions? A lot of the kind of the pre-work is, just starting to take place and getting ready. Electrical consumption, looking at a variety of different things, chiller.
I will say I was up in the wrestling room today and the new lighting's pretty nice.
Right, just constant work. Like constant work. Any questions for Mr. Ammer?
Thank you.
Mulch looks very nice.
Do you appreciate the work?
Always something needs to be
Was
done.
there a question?
Yeah.
So.
No, I was just
Okay.
gonna say, we drove by the baseball field. My husband commented on how amazing it looked.
I do think in all large public institutions, there should be a ceremony of the chiller turn on. Because, here in Northern Illinois, is it cold? Is it hot? Are we humid? Are we freezing? We never know. So when it's like, Groundhog Day or something.
Okay, so we're moving on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items 2 through 17 as written?
I'll make that motion.
I can second that.
Johnson? O'Halloran?
Yes.
Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Garrettson?
Yes.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the girls' flag football for the 26-27 school year?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Right?
Yes.
Garrettson?
Yes.
Johnson? Hayes?
Yes.
Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
O'Halloran?
Yes.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the stipend for the McKinney-Vento and foster care liaison?
So moved.
I can second that. Roll call.
Hayes? Yes.
Garrison? Yes. Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
O'Halloran?
Yes.
Strike?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the multi-year software agreement with Edmentum?
Yeah, Edmentum, you got it.
Sure.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
O'Halloran?
Yes.
Garrison?
Yes.
Strike?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the tentative amended budget for the fiscal year 25-26?
I'll make that motion.
I can second that.
Roll call.
Garrison?
Yes.
Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
Strike?
Yes.
O'Halloran?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the 3-year technology lease with American Capital Financial Services, Inc. for teacher laptops?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
O'Halloran?
Yes.
Strike?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Garrison?
Yes.
Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the new curriculum resources for the 26-27 school year? I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
O'Halloran?
Yes.
Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
Strike?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Garrison?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the potential settlement in Doe versus Lockport?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that. Roll call.
Strike?
Yes.
Garrison?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
O'Halloran?
Abstain?
Shaw?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the policies as presented?
That's press 120, finishing it off. I know you're all very anxious when that happens, so we did get press 121, so rest assured we'll be back, you know. That was the reading that we did last month.
Right.
So,
Do I have a motion?
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Hayes?
Yes.
Garrison?
Yes.
Caniva?
Yes.
O'Halloran?
Yes.
Strike?
Yes.
Yes. Announcements.
we can't see the announcements, but in your board update, I'll always have them. There's a lot coming up. You know, it is April and May in a public school system, so I will try to keep you updated on all the concerts, all the things that are going to be, you know, coming your way, literally in the next few weeks. All those kind of wrap ups that we participated in. It was fun seeing, you know, board members who could attend, like at some of the Yamate experiences and things like that. People enjoy that as well. So a lot coming your way. Just check your board update for that complete. And then I'll maybe work through you and through Kathy. We do have we actually do have something that we have to workshop with you, because we are hoping that by May 18th we can present to you a collective bargaining agreement with our educational support professionals. So it might be opportune anyway to sit down and talk about finances, because, you know, in the context, it's a financial obligation. You know, so the suggestion of maybe next week, working in twos, working in, you know, one-on-one if we have to do that. But if we can choreograph that, we'll set to trying to schedule that, you know, not for this week, but maybe for next week. So just check your calendar. That's it.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I'll make the motion.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting adjourned at 9:51.
All right. Hey.